A very warm welcome to week 3 of the Swayam course on design thinking and innovation. In week 3, we'll be doing secondary research and asking a lot of questions. So it's week 3, section A3. We start with a quote from Swami Vivekananda. Very profound quote again. The greatest truths are the simplest things in the world. This is something we need to mull over, right? And very, very pertinent to the design thinking and innovation projects that we are going to do. So let's look at what we're going to do in week 3. We start with the process. It talks about what is secondary research, how to gather information, how to do referencing, followed by the tools, which has a scheme for asking questions, a lot of questions. Okay, and if you can make a table out of these questions, nothing like it. Which is followed by a project where you'll actually take this secondary research and ask these questions with respect to the topic that you have chosen. And finally, we have a very interesting case study, a combination of communication design and digital design. It's about teaching culture through storytelling. So let's look at the process. So the content for secondary research. Which particular phase of the design process is secondary research? What exactly is secondary research? What are the sources of secondary research? How to document secondary research? Again, very important. How do you do the documentation? How to do secondary research? What are the steps involved in it? Then how do you do references and then give credits and give acknowledgments to all those that have helped you, okay, and some study references. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so this is the secondary research, part of the design thinking and innovation process. So secondary research is the first phase of the design thinking process. So we have the 6 phases here. You'll see that secondary research is almost the first phase. Okay, where you do study, observation, empathy, and need finding. So basically, it lets you identify the issues connected with your topic and do research on it. So summarizing it, so we start with the research. Then analysis, ideation, build and do, test and implement as we go along. So what exactly is secondary research? Okay, secondary research is actually looking at existing or information that is already there. It's also known as literature search. So that means that somebody actually has taken efforts to collect this information. Since somebody has done this, whenever you take references, it needs to be acknowledged. So that means it's based on second-hand information, whereas primary research, as the name suggests, is based on first-hand primary information. So information could either be quantitative or qualitative in nature. You probably will need both the types of information. So again, secondary research is actually looking at information that is already existing with respect to the topic that you have chosen. So why do we begin by secondary research and not primary research? Okay, the simple reason is that actually look at what information exists about your topic and what doesn't exist about your topic, then you can do primary research to dig out that particular information. Okay, so that's why we do secondary research first. and then find gaps in the information so that then you can use those gaps to ask questions when you're there doing the primary research. Okay, so this is a simple fact. That's the reason it's better to start with secondary research than go to the primary research. Okay, so let's look at the different sources of secondary research. This you already know, but we are just putting it down. Okay, of course, first is written matter, publications. So that means any literature on the subjects, books published on this subject. There are always journals, research journals, other journals connected with probably your topic. Sometimes reports are useful, articles are useful. Yeah, so you can also look at case studies, projects which have been done, white papers and newspaper reports. Okay, many times depending on the topic that you've chosen, there are conferences connected with that. There are workshops and symposiums which might have, outputs, documented. And of course, internet is a great source for this information. So websites, blogs, magazines, journals, etc. Great source of information, but that's not the only source of information. Make sure that you also look at literature, books, journals, and other sources. Okay, sometimes data sets, like for example, the survey of India that we do, gathering census data, it's a large data set that you can make use of. So records and standards are something else that you can actually look at. Okay, so look at all sources of secondary research, of course, with respect to the topic that you're doing. So here we talk about documenting secondary research. So when you get information, it's very important to categorize it, title it with a keyword, and then organize it into groups or sections. Okay, so one of the ways is that you can create folders and subfolders, name them. Okay, so as soon as you get information and you're able to put it into certain categories, put it into this. Okay. One of the ways when you find information is to write down keywords, because it's easy to locate information. Okay, write titles for them and a small summary. Okay, so this is very, very important. Okay, so that means you collate information and then summarize it. Okay, so you find the required information, but you're also doing a summary of it. You need to keep all the references. Okay. For images, charts, drawings, any content, okay, whether you sourced it from offline sources or online, something downloaded from the internet, you need to keep reference of this, okay. This is because somebody else has taken the effort to, do this information, right? Write this information, and we need to acknowledge that. Okay, otherwise it becomes plagiarized. Okay, so let's look at what is plagiarism. This is a very, very important and pertinent topic. Okay, so basically it means that it's the practice of copying another person's ideas, words or work. And if you don't acknowledge them, you're kind of pretending that it's your own. Okay, without the consent of the original author. Okay, so these are very, very important things. That's why any existing information, remember, it's due to the effort of somebody else and needs to be acknowledged. Okay, so how do we do this? We do this by giving full references. Okay, and plagiarism is totally unethical. Okay, please remember this. Okay, so and it's a very simple thing to acknowledge, give references. Let's move to the section on how to do secondary research. So these are the steps that are involved in doing secondary research. First, you need to exactly identify your topic that you're going to take up for your design project. Okay, so after that, identify sources of secondary research relevant to your topic. Then go about collecting this particular information, then document it. We've already said how to create categories and make folders. You can also make use of Miro or Figma board. They are helpful. Make sure to note down all the references, full references. How to do references? There are several referencing formats. Okay, I'm just listing few of them. MLA, the Modern Language Association System, the APA, the American Psychological Association System, the MHRA, that's the Modern Humanities Research Association System, and the Harvard system. Okay, so I'm going to just look at one of them, and you can use this method. We'll have a look at the Harvard system of referencing. It's a very simple method. Okay, so what you do is that in the Harvard system, references are cited along with the text, but within brackets. For example, within brackets, you put the author, the year. Okay, and at the end of the document, you actually give a full reference of the author, the title of the book or the article, where did you find it, and where was it published, and the year of publishing it. Okay, so these are the references with respect to that. And if it is, for example, something that you downloaded from the net, okay, so again you put the names of the people and what is the title of it and where was it available and on what date did you actually access it. Again, very simple. Okay, so remember, basically you need the author, the title of the article, the source of the article, place of the article, and the year of the article. So these things make it very clear. So that means that somebody else can actually, with this information, can locate the same reference. Okay, and this is the way to do referencing. Now, of course, when you're doing the project, there are many people who support you, will help you. You probably have gone and asked questions. So it is important that you acknowledge. So how do you acknowledge? Okay. So if it is somebody who's helped you as part of the thing, so you need to acknowledge, for example, faculty members and mentors. If the librarian has helped you or you've actually gone to an expert and he's actually shown you some ways to do it. Institution and organizations that helped you with research. Okay, so first name, last name, name of the institution, email address is optional. Okay, so for example, Ramesh Kumar, Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, India, and his email. How to give credits? Again, so for example, if it's your paper and title and someone else has helped you as part of it, so you put your first name, the last name, name of the institution, email address is optional. Okay, so Nanda, R.S. Nanda, IIT Bombay, India, Nanda, the email address. Okay, the second author like this. Okay, so this is the way you can give credits. All very simple, but very, very important that you remember to do this. Okay, so let's look at further studies and references. So again, we come back to the same references. dsource.in/DT&I will give full references and information on the course that you're doing on design thinking and innovation. It has case studies, course, tools, and resources. Okay, so there is also a very well-written book, okay, called Research Design, Qualitative, Quantitative, and Mixed Methods Approaches by John Creswell and David Creswell. It's a Sage publication. Okay, so if you can get hold of this book, it's a very useful book. There are also research methods and perspectives. It's an MIT Press publication by Brenda Laurel and Peter Lunenfeld. It's from MIT Press. Okay, so again, a very nicely written book. Okay, so these are the references for the secondary research. Okay, so I'm going to end with a quote. It's a quote you need to probably read it 2-3 times to get the meaning out of it. It's by Nietzsche, the German philosopher, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Think about it. Thanks for listening. This was section A3 of the week 3. Just to sum it up, so we've gone through the design process and what is actually secondary research, and that we need to gather information, document it, also remember to reference it and give acknowledgments. Moving on to using a tool, which is basically 5W and 1H, more on that in that section. Okay, followed by applying it in your project, okay, and then looking at a case study.